Let's go up and take a look at this A10 here a little bit up close and personal. Now this is the best part of it right here. This is the General Electric GAU 8 rotary cannon. This shoots a 30mm projectile. It's probably about this long. Roughly. The cartridge case is about a foot long and about that big around. Considerably larger than the projectile. Now this was designed, the A10 is a Cold War weapon, and it was designed to combat the numerical superiority of the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact countries. And this is designed to kill tanks. You can see the grooves and the lands in here on this incredible weapon. And the gun sits in here. It takes up most of that front end. Now how this works, this is the round that it mostly shoots is PGU-14B depleted uranium projectile. You probably hear a lot about that because it's been in the news, leaving heavy metals and different things laying around, somewhat mildly toxic, although not extremely radioactive. The reason that they use depleted uranium is for its density, and it's an excellent penetrator, and it's also pyrophoric, which means depleted uranium, when it hits something at high velocity, the friction ignites it. And what this weapon's designed to do with that round is punch a hole through the top of tanks. This won't take on a tank from the front. Tanks are very thick from the front. It takes them on from the top and the rear, possibly the sides. What happens, the projectile hits the top of the tank. Friction ignites the depleted uranium penetrator. The depleted uranium penetrator ignites and turns into rather a hot plasma, splattering the inside of the tank and bouncing around. And it ignites the fuel and the ammunition in the tank. And that's how they kill. These are very, very effective, very lethal. The cartridge, they can also have tracers on them. The projectile can have a tracer in the base. And the projectile is an aluminum shell, and then it's got the depleted uranium penetrator on the inside with a little bit of titanium and other different metals in it, mostly depleted uranium. And the primer on those is electronic primer. It's not a percussion primer, impact primer like on a shotgun shell. It's an electronic primer, so if you drop it, it's not going to go off. This was meant to even up the numerical superiority of the Warsaw Pact, which had depending on what sources you read, they had 10 times as many tanks as the West had. NATO countries during the Cold War. Pretty impressive aircraft. They're going to mothball all these pretty soon, which is a shame because they're still extremely effective weapon. This is a static display they have here. Very impressive aircraft here. There's a F-15. Got the AIM-9 sidewinders on the side. Those are exterior fuel tanks. These things don't fly very far without those exterior fuel tanks. You can go up for about an hour, and then you gotta land. Those fuel tanks will extend your range. F-15. This F-15 is still in use everywhere. Everybody makes it. The Japanese make a copy of it that's quite effective. It's in use all over because it's such a superior weapon. Extremely fast. You're talking about a close to Mach 3. So when this thing's up at altitude cruising 50, 60,000 feet, it's going faster than a 30-06 bullet, or very close to it, close to Mach 3. Some of these stripped down have exceeded Mach 3. So 3,000 feet per second. AIM-9s. On full afterburner, this thing will go almost vertical, and it will reach its ceiling height of 80,000 feet. But they've had these go well beyond 100,000 feet in altitude. You wouldn't want to be standing here when these babies are fired up, especially on full afterburner. What an afterburner does is there's nozzles in there that just dump pure JP4, which is basically kerosene. It dumps it right in after the compressed fuel. There's compressors inside, and it dumps it into the flame stream, and that is the afterburner. It's just raw fuel that's dumped in there, and it sucks fuel like a raped ape when it's doing that. But that's how it gets superior thrust and speed. That one there set all kinds of world speed records. That plane right there, old school. Yeah. These things are what give us our freedom and protect the world from the monsters. These protect us from the monsters. These are good things. These aren't bad things. Look at the size of this tank. I'm almost 6 feet tall. This thing's taller where it's sitting right here. This thing is huge. There's the sidewinders. You don't want one of those closing in on you. Them things are very hard to shake. Very hard to shake. Here's the intakes. Takes a lot of air. These things suck a lot of air. Anyway, this is a Convair F-106 Delta Dart. This is one fast son of a bitch. This is the fastest single-engine jet aircraft ever made right here. Still holds all kinds of records for a single-engine jet aircraft. You gotta love the F-15 though, god dang. America.